Hello and welcome to the shed. In today's video we're going to be sharpening this itty bitty thin blade on this turning saw. Hope you enjoy. So as I said in the restoration video of this saw, I've not sharpened one of these blades before, so this is going to be a little bit of a learning video as well. I think I've worked out how to do it. The actual sharpening process should be pretty straightforward and easy. That's not really the difficult part, it's more holding the blade. I did have a comment on that restoration video how someone had said they had done it or had seen it done, and so based on that idea I sort of came up with my own way of doing it, as I usually do, and yeah, I think I know how to hold it now. But before we get on to that, I'm going to go down to this piece of pine down here and see how well this blunt spoon actually saws that wood. So let's jump in here and have a look. So that was actually slightly better than I thought it was going to be. This is really rusty and I could actually see that it was really blunt. But within about 30 strokes, even though I wasn't really counting, it was about 30. We don't really need to count the amount of strokes. We went in about 10 mil. So let's jump down here and I'll show you how, or the two methods that we can use to hold this to sharpen it. So back last year I did a series on building our own saw vices, and I came up with a very basic design here based on one I'd seen on a Lee Nielsen video, and I also came up with this one based on a post I'd seen to make a little tabletop version of this. I did make another premium one, but that won't be suitable for actually holding this. It just won't lock onto that blade very well for that. So the two options is either the very basic one or this twist lock one. Now I think this one is probably going to hold it slightly better than this one, because this one is designed for a panel saw and you really want it to go past both these posts for it to actually lock on, and so in the middle here it doesn't lock quite as tight as you would like. I have had that blade in here and it does hold it, but for today's video we're going to go ahead and use just the very basic folded one here. Now if you're interested in making either of these or haven't seen those videos, I will leave those links down below, and I'll try and leave a card up here somewhere for them as well. So if you're interested in these videos, you can go check them out. So before I go ahead and just pop that blade out, we need to look at what triangular file we're using. Now I'm using the small one. This is what I use for my ones that have got very few teeth. This one is for my smaller ones that I use for any of my up to about 16 teeth per inch, 10 to about 16, 12 to 16. And so I use it on these ones. Actually, I use this on nearly all my saws other than my panel saws. It's only on my bigger panel saws that I bring this one out. So for those of you interested, this is a Bahco file. It is model number 187-05-2. I'll leave that down below. I got it at Total Tools here in Australia, but I'm sure there's other places you can get it. But just so you know, that is the one I'm using, and you can find it down below. So let's jump over here, get that blade in here and get sharpening. Now before we put it in here, I just want you to have a close look at this. You can see right on this edge here, the teeth are out a little bit. Right on this edge here, the tooth is a little weird. But other than that, the teeth are pretty good. This is up the end where your hand goes, so a few teeth out doesn't really matter. You can see here, I did actually just do a quick practice sharpen when I was holding it in there, just to make sure that I could actually sharpen it and it was held strong enough, which it was. So let's go ahead, put this in and get sharpening. So we can see that's in there pretty even where we want it. So keep that tension on it. Now we can see, although it does rock around a little bit because the tension doesn't go on very well when you've got such a thin blade, that is held in there tight enough. It's not going to, doesn't slide, it doesn't move back and forwards. If I pushed it hard enough, it probably could go down, but we don't want to be putting any downward pressure when we're sharpening. So now this is held in here, we can see this is a rip cut. The front of the teeth are on this side here, so my left, your right. And so we're going to head in this direction. Now, one thing I noted with this is you want to be very careful with how much pressure you put down on. This steel of this blade, I don't know if it's a homemade blade, whether it was a purchased blade or not. It looks like it was a store-bought blade, but I do notice that the steel is actually quite soft on it. Now, that might have something to do with the fact that because it's a turning saw and you get it stuck, you kind of want the blade to flex. You look at the harder saws that you have on your... Look at the harder ones that you have on your little fret saws and things like this, the coping saws, and you twist these ever so slightly and the blades snap. I believe the idea here is that if it does get caught and twist a little bit, it won't snap. We want to fit it to the tooth. Now, I'm not going to be reprofiling, we're actually going square across. This saw blade does actually have some set on it. I think it probably has slightly too much set, but you know, that doesn't really matter. Because of what this is, I'm not going to go ahead and adjust it with this blade because I know the steel's quite soft. So I realize on all these other ones that I had, when I just did a couple of tests here, I did like 3 passes. But I can still see that some of them are not pushed right up. So what we're going to do is continue that 3-pass strategy. So we're going to push straight forward like this. So you can see I'm matched up against the tooth. Now, it might look like I'm pushing with this thumb. My skin is catching on the actual thread of it here and helping me pull it through. You'll notice that I'm pushing it against the tooth each time to allow it to align it. And you want to try and just maintain the same length of stroke each time. So now each one of these has had 3 strokes on it. I need to now go back and actually run some more on them. These first ones here, or these few ones here, they only had the 3 strokes on them and they were fine right up this end. But then when I started getting into about sort of the middle here, I realized that some of them had been fully sharpened and some of them haven't. So what we have to do is go ahead and do another pass on all these teeth. So I'm actually just going to choose one here, 2 passes, 3. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I just need to give myself a little mark so I don't redo that particular tooth. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 passes on all of them once again, because you want to keep them all even as much as you can. So with 6 passes to each tooth now, I think it's officially sharp. Now, the test I like to do is I lightly move my hand across it like this, and you can sort of feel it grab your skin if it's sharp. If it's blunt, your hand just runs straight over it, but you can actually sort of feel it sort of... It's not going to cut you because it's square across like a chisel, and it's not as, you know, razor sharp as a chisel, but you'll feel it just grab the skin, and you're just doing it very, very gently. It's almost like Velcro in some ways. So let's get that out, back into the saw, and we'll do some test cutting to see how well I did. So we've got it back in here. Now with these ones, the longer handle is always the back of these for whatever reason. When Marples designed them, although I'm pretty sure this is not a Marples one, none of the lines are straight, and there's a little bit of issues here that we'll look at with the design of this in another video. We'll have a look at the anatomy of it and how it should be designed. But for now, down to the wood. What a huge improvement. It's just fully transformed this. So let's do a few curve cuts and see if it works the way it's meant to for a few curve cuts. You hear that vibrating a little bit? It needs to be a little lower just to support it a little bit more. Well, that did a pretty good job at that. Let's just try one more. Well, I would say it's working pretty well. Let's pretend that this is in the inside of a dovetail. Let's see if we can use it to cut out the waste in a dovetail like we can a coping saw. Well, so far I'm rather impressed with this. I've never actually used a turning saw like this before. So there you have it, folks. It really wasn't that difficult in the end. It was just sharpening a rip cut saw, but the real challenge was holding this blade. Now, you probably could find some way to keep it under tension in here and sharpen it as well, which I have. The comment did mention that you could actually just twist the blade slightly so it's out of the way and just use a normal metal working vise and just run that along here in sections. That could be a valid option. I just find it easier to actually do it the way I did there. I don't imagine you'd be sharpening a turning saw that much because, at least for me, turning saws don't get used a lot. But maybe I'll be using this more for some dovetails over its little cousin, the coping saw, which, well, these blades always snap for me. I've gone through a lot of those blades, and I always run into issues when you've got a wider board for doing dovetails. You end up hitting it on it, and you've got to twist it out of the way. But this You got a nice wide depth of cut, and you can easily twist it. You don't even have to change the tension. You can just twist it like this. There's enough movement in there so you can just change that angle even in the middle of a cut. So that's the video on sharpening a turning saw blade. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do sound off in the comments down below. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the red subscribe button, hit the bell and select all on your notifications so you don't miss any new videos. And if you'd like to see another great video such as the one here, do check out the video just down here where I talk about saw set. Bye for now.